Item on the agenda, item 11, Office of the Planning Director, Legislative Drafter Request, LDR-155-2026. We'll now hear from staff. Heather or Wheeler.
Good try. Good morning, Vice Chair and members of the Planning Board. I do have a difficult name. For the record, my name is Heather Wheeler. I'm with the Planning Director's Office. And we are here to discuss a legislative drafting request, specifically legislative drafting request 155-2026. And with that, so next slide. So this is a slide that we just went through in Natalia's presentation, but again, we are at the first portion of this timeline. That portion is the Planning Board hearing and recommendation. And so this will move forward after this meeting concludes with whatever recommendation the board decides, and it will have several stops along the way after it receives its bill number. Next slide. Okay, so the purpose of this bill, I beg your indulgence because I'm going to provide a little bit of background here, mostly because this bill has several different components to it. Okay. It's not a simple bill.
Take your time.
Okay, so LDR 155-2006 permits development of qualified data centers as a use by right in the agricultural residential district and the rural estate district. Specifically, the amendment is revising the permitted use table, which is the first component that you'll see in the bill when you look at the bill, to allow for the development of the qualified data centers in those two districts. It also sets the minimum project size, which is 150 acres in AR and 50 acres in RE zones. It removes the requirement for the detailed site plan requirements under certain conditions, and so those conditions are outlined in the bill. In addition to that, the bill is amending specifically additional language for distance criteria for specific uses. So I'm going to read this right off the staff report from the record. This is page 3 in the staff report. It's very specific. It says it amends the language to adjust the distance requirements between the qualified data centers and regional parks, residential uses, or places of worship. The distance criteria for the regional parks remains at 4,000 feet, while the distance criteria for residential uses and places of worship is increased from the current 300 feet to 500 feet. In addition, a community benefit agreement subject to approval of the district council member and the county executive is a new requirement added to this section. It should also be noted that the amended language in this bill has a provision to clarify where the development of a qualified data center is permitted as a use by right in the AR and the RE zones to specifically those properties having the following characteristics: existing high voltage transmission lines or towers, and property being repurposed from an active or permitted sanitary landfill or rubble fill, surface mining operation class 3 fill, or otherwise officially designated as a brownfield. The concern here is the brownfield term that is not defined in the bill. Okay, so that's one of the areas that is a little bit of a concern because we do not have a qualified definition in your current land development code. The bill does also not clarify that terminology. So that provides ambiguity, which means we don't know what criteria or parameters are going to be used to determine a brownfield with this bill, and that is an issue. Next slide. So just a little bit of background on this because qualified data centers have quite a history here in Prince George's County. So I wanted to kind of go through the various steps of what has occurred, right? Initially, the county council established the data center task force. That task force basically took most of last year from April through November, and they studied the qualified data center issue, okay? And as a result, they had multiple different meetings through this task force time. There were community engagement events. Ultimately, it culminated in a report. That report was provided to the county council with recommendations from the task force in January of this year. Since that time, the county executive has issued a second executive order. That executive order basically put a hold on any new applications coming in or the review of any current applications that are in for review for permitting processing of any sort. Okay. In addition to that, we had several other LDRs that have come through that have addressed Qualified Data Task Force. That stuff is also included in the staff report. One bill went back over to the actual county council, but it's been sitting in committee and has not moved. So as the writing of this report and this meeting, that particular piece of legislation has not progressed. Okay. In addition to that, there were two other bills that came over for review, but they were prematurely sent to us and they were requested to return. So those bills have been returned back to the clerk and the county clerk, and until we see them and they're formally submitted into the process, we don't opine on them. Okay, but all of those particular legislative bills and drafting requests that came over, we're really talking about location. Where can we put qualified data task centers within Prince George's County? Every single one of them is talking about that issue. It's a placement issue. Last week or 2 weeks now, the county council issued a temporary moratorium. That temporary moratorium basically says we are not to accept any new applications, we're not to process any existing applications, we're not to move forward on anything related to Qualified Data Task Force for a minimum of 2 years, or when the county council passes a legislative package that is a comprehensive package dealing with location, placement, and design criteria for these large data centers, because that's what a Qualified Data Task Force, a Qualified Data Center means. It's a large campus project. It's a very intense use. And so as a result of that intensity, the county council has decided, or a majority of the county council has decided, that they want to review this issue more. So that kind of sets the background for where we are today. Next slide. So this is our policy analysis, and it's very abbreviated. I want to go over just a couple of different areas. Why we are in opposition to the bill is very specific. And it is because it is not consistent with the intent of the 2 zoning districts where this is now going to be a use by right. As a result of that inconsistency, staff could not support this bill on its face, the way it's written. We also could not come to a place where we would be able to provide amendments to you that we could support, because the intent of this bill is specifically to put data centers, large campuses, in a rural environment and on agricultural property. And we don't know the parameters, right? We don't know the parameters that are actually going to be required, that are going to be limiting factors, because we don't know what is considered a brownfield based on the text of the amendment. As a result of that, we really can't support this because it's not consistent with your plan, your 2035 plan. In addition to that, it is also an issue where it doesn't meet any of the criteria that we spent a lot of time and money studying last year through the Data Task Force Center. It doesn't meet any of the recommendations that Task Force Center put out there. Now, does it require to? Absolutely not. But we took a lot of intention as a community, and the county council took a lot of intention as a community to go through that process to provide data and analysis for all of the neighborhoods all over the county, not just looking at rural areas, not just looking at existing developed sites, looking at everything. It was a holistic approach. It was a comprehensive approach. To have a bill come forward that doesn't meet any of the recommendations or the intentions of that process is really counterintuitive to what, as a community, we've already kind of started down this path. In addition, we have spent a lot of money in this community. I mean, I'm a beneficiary of this because I just moved here from Florida and I live in the rural environment, the agricultural environment. I get to enjoy every day when I go home the rural and beautiful landscape that is here. In addition, you have a complex that is just starting to turn the corner in your agricultural community. You have a community that's finally coming together to really talk about food security and food policy. That is super important to have that. And to now put this extra layer of items that are not compatible with what you're starting to finally receive the benefit of. You've done all of this planning in those agricultural rural communities to protect and preserve. And unfortunately, we now have this desire to put these data centers somewhere, and it's like we stuck it in this place. Well, that place is just finally taking the benefit of all of what you've done for the years. I mean, this is decades of people's lives that have been put into this agricultural and rural landscape. As a result, we do not want to put the data centers in that environment without understanding the full parameters. I don't know what a brownfield means based on this bill, and I'm concerned that you're going to take agriculturally productive properties out of production because of this bill, because I don't have a good understanding of what that brownfield parameter is. The final issue is the county council had an action where they put a moratorium on. One of the provisions of that moratorium is either 2 years or they adopt a comprehensive package addressing location, design, and placement of these data centers. So we essentially have a bill here that is a targeted approach. It is not a comprehensive piece of legislation. It is counterintuitive to the resolution that was passed 2 weeks ago. And next slide. As a result of that, the department recommends the planning board adopt the findings of the staff report and oppose LDR 1552026. And I'm available for whatever questions that you have.
Real quick, if I may, just to kind of add into what Ms. Urwilla just said, from the planning department standpoint, this is truly a professional recommendation to the planning board. That's where we are right now. These are professional planning expertise recommendations to the board. Now we're providing this information to you all to make an informed recommendation back, just like what Ms. Gomez was saying earlier, back to the county council. So now we're handing this to you all with all the professional expertise that we have, with all that information, and this is strictly just from a professional planning expertise standpoint. From a technical standpoint, we're giving this to you all at this point, and we're giving so you all can make a recommendation back to the county council for them to make a decision and for consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hedda. And that was quite an extensive presentation. And any questions from the planning board?
Mr. Chair, what's the time frame on this?
What's the time frame?
What do you mean, what is the time frame? Can you clarify that question, please?
What are you asking the commissioners to do time frame wise with this?
So we are asking for a recommendation to oppose this particular piece of legislation, and that will be transmitted to the county council after this meeting in accordance with what's required under the zoning ordinance. We're required to transmit a recommendation, whatever the recommendation of the board is, to the county council for this to move forward for their action.
Any other question?
None.
All right, seeing no other question, we will now take testimonies from those who have signed up. The nature of this item, we'll please have you limit your comments to 2 minutes, and we'll plead you not to use up the entire 2 minutes. You can make your comment in 1 minute if you can, and please try not to repeat what the last speaker already said, but for the sake of time, I'd like to thank you in advance for not using only 2 minutes and not going above 2 minutes. All right. I'm going to call the first speaker.
Vice Chair, I mentioned one other thing that I noticed in the speakers list. We have a number of people who signed up to speak, and they are affiliated with community associations, which is perfectly fine, of course. Just ask that when testimony is provided, the speaker indicates whether it's their personal testimony or they're speaking on behalf of the association, just so we know the difference. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, David, for the clarification. So I'm going to call the first speaker, James Jones. James Jones in the house? Online? So James. All right, we'll move on to Amy McCordy. Amy? please step up to the podium.
Good morning. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Amy McCurdy. My husband and I are the co-managers of P.A. Bowen Farmstead in Aquasco, Maryland. It's a small regenerative dairy farm. By the way, I forgot to mention, I'm also here on behalf of JABACA, which is the Greater Baden and Aquasco Citizens Association, of which I am vice president. This is personal and business and affiliation. My husband and I moved here in 2014 to manage the small regenerative dairy farm in Aquasco. Maryland used to have hundreds, if not thousands, of dairies. When we moved here in 2014, there were still about 600 dairies, and now there's about 52. We are one of the few, if one of the only, dairy farms in Prince George's County. We oppose LDR 155 because we are, in fact, trying to preserve our rural heritage. We're trying to preserve our agricultural way of life. Did you know that we have wineries in our area? We have farms with stores and tours. We have open spaces and trails. Like the young lady that spoke before me was saying, it's growing. In fact, we see our area as an opportunity for agritourism. We see our area not as an industrial dumping site, but a place where people from other parts of the county can come and visit farms and have fresh, healthy food and visit wineries and have open, fresh air and spaces. We've had a lot of industrial dumped in our area. We've had gravel mining, we've had power plants, but we are now growing as an agritourism destination.
Ms. Ellie, can you begin to help?
One more thing I want to say is at-large council member Walla Blagay just recently passed 2 bills in support of agritourism in our area, and we'd like to continue in that direction. Thank you.
Next, we have Brett Mallory.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Good morning, Ms. Brett. Can I please, before you start, may I please your indulgence to please try as much as possible not to applaud after Ms. Brett or any other speaker. We can keep that to the last. Thank you. Ms. Brett.
Yes, my name is Beth Landry, and I'm representing CCAN Action Fund. That's Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. And we robustly support the recommendations of the Planning Board staff, as well as the prescription and intent of the County Council to bring forward and enact comprehensive legislation addressing placement, construction, and operations of qualified data centers in Prince George's County. The rapid and unchecked build-out of data centers is creating serious risks of harm in our region, and in Prince George's County specifically, demanding huge amounts of electricity, pushing utilities towards new gas plants, diesel generators, pipelines, and other polluting infrastructure. These costs should not be passed on to families and small businesses through higher monthly bills, while some of the world's wealthiest corporations receive tax breaks and other special treatment. We stand behind the local community and the injuries they have and would further experience throughout the county, and especially in and near rural, agricultural, and residential-based zones if data centers are located in the area and without community safeguards. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Brett. Next, we have Beverly John.
Good morning. My name is Beverly John. I'm a resident of Council District 5, Beaufort, and I'm a community advocate, greatly concerned about the recent proposed data center development in the county. And as your staff member just said, we just recently had a moratorium that was passed, and it appears as though this particular legislation is not going to be consistent with what we as a community need. You've been hearing some testimony about the environmental, the health, and the financial impacts of data centers today, but I have another point to share, which is, and why I strongly oppose the hyperscale data centers. Across the country, automatic license plate readers are being used to track and monitor and surveil us as citizens, impacting our Fourth Amendment rights. Is a violation of our privacy to have these types of technologies in place. The technology, guess what, relies on hyperscale data centers, which is why I strongly oppose the data centers for this particular purpose. The lack of transparency in the installation of the data centers and the fast tracking of this cannot be allowed. And again, I oppose strongly LDR 155 to 2026 for these reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chan. Gabriella Johnston.
She's online, sir.
Online, Gabriella Johnson. Can you go ahead?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh, thank you so much. Capacity. I oppose LDR 155. I don't have to tell you all the dangers and the climate risks and the environmental crisis and energy crisis, financial crisis that these hyperscale and regular AI data centers have caused to communities across the country. These centers bring with them an expanding power lines that have been encroaching on people's residential homes. In some places, people have experienced where power companies have exhibited eminent domain to put these power lines in their homes and taking people's homes as well. I also don't have to tell you that the federal government protections from communities are gone, so that leaves that to the states and local protections. And this is where we stand. Here in PG, the community has been against these data centers since last year, before the rest of the country sounded the alarm, and the new rezoning plan usurps the will of the community against these data centers. Thank you.
Thank you. For the records, can you confirm your name, please? The last speaker?
Johnston.
Oh, is that Gabrielle?
Gabrielle Johnson, yes. Gabrielle
Okay.
Johnson.
We had Abigail Anisha. Thank you very much, Ms. Gabrielle Johnson. Next, we'll hear from Gloriana McClaw. Gloriana McClaw. Going one. Going two. It's McClaw. Going three. And we hear from Greg Smith.
Good morning, planning board members, planning staff, members of the audience. I want to thank the planning staff for their excellent report. It's thorough, it's detailed, it's on point. I don't need to elaborate there, and I urge you to adopt their recommendations to oppose.
He's a regular. Doesn't help his cape.
Can you please mute yourself if you're online? Thank you.
We're the planning board. This is the planning department. This bill is not planning. This planning is a response to demands by industries that include the wealthiest corporations in the state, in the country, and on the planet, demanding to have access to our resources that impose incredible burdens on our communities, on our low-income families through higher electricity rates. The only data center, large data center that's been approved in Prince George's County is the Bright Seed Tech Park Data Center for Orlando. That data center alone would demand between 820 and 1,400 megawatts of power. That's more than all but one or two of the largest power plants that Prince George's County can generate on a good day. On a good day. So they're either going to take that energy offline for the rest of us, or they're going to build more capacity with all the ensuing damage. The greenhouse gas emissions from that one data center could be between 1.5 and 2.5 million tons per year. If we build these data centers and they are fueled with fossil fuels, they're powered with fossil fuels, we will close the door on our ability to meet our clean air goals and our ability to meet critical climate goals. And I hope and I assume that all of you are fully on board with how urgent the climate crisis is right now. Year after year, it's reported to us that the last 10 years were the hottest on record. That's the trend. It's not jiggling up and down. Year after year, that's the report. I just saw an article where European institutions estimate in this latest heat wave, 10,000 people were killed by the latest heat wave in Europe. That's what they're doing. We have a responsibility and an opportunity to do better, and I believe we can. We can pass the most protective, most thoughtful regulations and laws on the planet, in the country, and in the state, and we need to do that now. Going forward with this legislation, we say, let's open the door to the damage now and try to clean up the mess later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Henry, can you please try? I know it's hard, but please. Like going for graduation, and they say don't applaud your key. But can we have Henry listen?
He's online.
He's online. Henry, is it frozen?
Hello, this is Henry Wixon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I had told the technical staff that I was audio by phone because I'm getting feedback, and so I would like to have my phone mic unmuted and use that rather than the computer mic.
We can hear you perfectly if you want to just keep going.
All right, it appears that I'm not going to get my audio mic, but I will go ahead then. This is Henry Wixon, commissioners, planning board staff. It's an honor to be here before you today. For the record, my name is Henry Wixon. I reside in Glendale, Maryland, and I appear before you today on behalf of the Glendale Citizens Association, which is a civic association serving residents of Greater Glendale and Prince George's County since 1949. The Glendale Citizens Association opposes LDR 155-2026 and urges the planning board to oppose it as well. In fact, in view of CR 66-2026, we are surprised and frankly disappointed that this bill, LDR 155-2026, has not been withdrawn by its sponsor, Councilmember Fisher, given that it is clearly not itself comprehensive legislation to address the placement, construction, and operation of data center uses, and given its unacceptable provision for by right use in the agricultural, residential, and residential estate zones. It would also allow qualified data centers on certain former landfills, mines, fill sites, or properties designated as brownfields if they have existing high voltage transmission infrastructure. This is unacceptable. Under this proposed bill, these data centers could be placed in rural and residential zones without special exception review, and projects larger than 200 acres, according to this bill, would be exempt from detailed site plan review. That should be unacceptable. As a result, the largest projects could receive less scrutiny than smaller projects. That should be unacceptable. While the required residential setback would increase, 500 feet is still not necessarily adequate and needs more consideration. The bill does not define brownfields, as the staffer has noted, and it's unclear which properties would qualify. Community benefits agreement would be required, but the bill doesn't define standards for community participation, required benefits, enforcement, or accountability. It doesn't address electricity demand, water use, wastewater noise, backup generators, air pollution, stormwater, environmental justice, or cumulative impacts. These are the type of things that need to be addressed in comprehensive legislation. This bill doesn't do it, and we urge you to oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Do we have Herbert Jones? Herbert Jones? Herbert Jones going 1. Herbert Jones going 2. Herbert Jones. Can we have Imara Gomes?
All right. Good morning. My name is Mark Crooms. I'm a farmer in Croom, a resident of District 9, and a local organizer. I'm here with so many folks today to testify in strong opposition to this LDR. The proposal is one more in an ongoing string of attempts to carve out our rural and agricultural land, and to do so for industrial hyperscale data centers after our county residents have rallied to say, we don't want exactly what's been being offered here. The proposal before you is fundamentally flawed on its merits. We don't have to guess whether or not it's good planning. Your own merit-based staff submitted an official statement opposing the proposal. They explicitly noted that allowing data centers into our agricultural and residential-based zones directly contradicts our county master plan guidance and ignores the clear urgent warnings of our county's own data center task force. Further, as others have noted, this proposal strips away or dilutes detailed site plan reviews in exactly the places where it's most needed. As you know, District 9 has a long and painful history of being treated as an afterthought, a convenient dumping ground for any projects that are not approved elsewhere. And this is just the latest in that ongoing attempt to do the same. We currently have, as you know, a data center moratorium in place for a reason. The proposed change would bypass that moratorium through piecemeal zoning amendment and landscape plan carve-out, undermining already collapsing public trust and disrespecting the thousands of residents who have repeatedly organized to say that our homes and our health are not for sale. We have defeated these attempts before, and we stand united to defeat them again today. No one here is against growth or development. But growth has to serve the public good. Respect agricultural preservation and align with community consent. I urge y'all to stand with your own professional staff to honor the task force guidance and issue a resounding unfavorable recommendation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. For the record, can you confirm your name again?
Amara Crooms with a C.
Right. Thank you. Crooms. Takia Johnson. Takia Johnson. Takia Johnson 1. Johnson 2. Johnson 3. Jerome Lewis.
He's online, sir.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jerome Lewis. I'm a resident of Prince George's County for the past 11 years. On top of that, I'm also a technical project manager supporting state, federal, IT, AI projects across the country. And then in conjunction with that, I'm also a PhD student studying AI dependency and the impacts in capital. I'm not going to really reiterate a lot of the things that have already been said. The study has already been conducted. I just wanted to state that I really oppose LDR 1552026. Document isn't clear. We need to set up more comprehensive legislation to protect communities against the impacts of AI. So that is all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Joanne Flynn. Can she get it up? You just hold it. There you go.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Joanne Flynn. I'm the president of the Greater Baden-Quasco Citizens Association. And
I'm sorry, I can hold the time on this. I just want to point out, an association gets one person to represent them, and you had your vice president speak already. So you're free to give your testimony, but it would be your personal testimony.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that I'm kind of aware of things because I'm a president, but these are my comments opposing LDR 155-2026. Thank you for this opportunity to speak in opposition to this bill. For the last 30 plus years, my husband and I have been residents of the rural tier, which is now referred to as rural and ag areas of Prince George County. We live and work on a farm and have been involved with county planning in support of farming, saving farmers, conservation of open space and our natural resources, restoration of historic resources, advocates for county land preservation easements program, establishing a 501c3 land trust, numerous other related endeavors. We have also spent these years opposing detrimental development in our agricultural areas such as rubble dumps, fly ash dumps, too many power plants in our area, and too much unlimited residential development in the rural areas during the building boom area. We are happy that over the years we have won some battles. But now we have the threat of data centers in our agriculture and residential areas, which is totally incongruous and incompatible with our award-winning Maryland National Capital Park and Planning plans, our climate action plan, and the current moratorium, which are thought to foster greater transparency and citizen input. Presently, there seems to be a data center mania going on here in the county, the state, and then the country. 2 weeks ago, the county council did the right thing and voted for the 2-year moratorium on data centers. We are thankful for this. Now we have time to educate ourselves and others about data centers. I question the need for data centers. I think this should be addressed. We have been told that other than raising taxes, data centers are the only way to gain revenue to balance the budget. Data centers can impact our water supply, cause air and water and noise pollution, and increase energy costs, and create imbalances so great that no amount of revenue will restore a balance. I'm opposed to data centers for being approved in any part of Prince George's County. It is a health, safety, and welfare issue for all living things, and will create an imbalance that is hard for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you. I support the testimonies of people that have gone before me and submitted. Thank you.
John Robinson. John Robinson. Robinson 1.
Hello?
Online.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me? Okay.
May you state your name, please?
Yes. My name is John Robinson. I live in Adelphi, Maryland. I'm testifying for myself. I support all of the comments in opposition made before, with the possible exception of of the statement that growth can go on in this county. I think we need to recognize that you can't have continuous growth in a finite space of anything real. And so when you put one thing in, you lose something else because the space available is finite. So I oppose this. I think you also need to look at the larger purposes that these data centers are proposed, that the supporters are pushing. Such, if you look at you should look at what people like Peter Thiel and the other advocates for AI are talking about, actually replacing carbon-based life with silicon-based intelligence. it's a threat to all of us, and I don't think we want to subsidize that by allowing them to build those facilities in our county. There's also the AI financial bubble that many people expect to pop, and the sooner it pops, the better we'll all be off. And this would be opposing LDR 155 would be a good step in popping the AI bubble. So, and I definitely support the planning staff's recommendation to oppose. They made excellent points. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. We have Kathy Bartolomeo.
Hi, good morning. Kathy Bartolomeo from Greenbelt. I oppose the data centers being placed on ag land. As you know, the data centers require great amounts of water, and our aquifers are being depleted. Those living on well waters are having to drill deeper to get water. Saltwater intrusion is happening on the farmlands in Dorchester. Maryland's been in a drought for over 2 years. Farmland converted to industrial use are rarely returned to production, and regions experiencing rapid development, the cumulative loss of prime farmland is a growing concern. Data centers use PFAS, linked to cancer, liver disease, kidney issues, high cholesterol, birth defects, and decreased immunity. PFAS sludge has been sprayed on farmlands. EPA has now abandoned risk assessments of PFAS contamination on food, farm, and water sources. EPA, keep in mind, only monitoring 9 heavy metals. Pat Elder, famous researcher on military use of PFAS, has studied the impact on the Potomac watershed, which is simultaneously dealing with severe toxic runoff. He reports that the NDA lacks transparency on reporting on PFAS sludge data. This sludge is imperiling our crops, water, livestock, families, and generations to come. It also impacts, data centers impacts our pollinators. Bees are impacted by the EMFs, causing lost bees and disorientation. They're experiencing loss of habitat, struggling with climate change. We're burning more fossil fuel for data centers and will experience more days of extreme heat. We passed the 1.5 degrees and headed for the 2.0 degrees, which is unlivable. We're going into a black hole, which consumes our resources and our environment beyond repair.
Thank you very much. Mercy Ajagemo. Mercy Ajagemo. Mercy 1. Mercy 2. Mercy 3. Do we have Noah Waters?
Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Dr. Noah Waters. I'm born in Prince George's County, former mayor of the town of Eagle Harbor. I'm opposed to LDR, just like LDR 155-2026. I would ask you to adopt the designation. And from everything I've listened to this morning, it seems to be antithetical to your mission. And I applaud Commissioner Waller-Blagay for her agritourism. I'm the guy who preaches about heritage tourism. I think many Prince Georgians don't know that all of Prince George's County is the only exclusive county designated a heritage area in the history of the state of Maryland. The southern portion is part of the Southern Maryland National Heritage Area. I tell people we're standing on a gold mine. Maryland has done research. For every dollar invested in heritage tourism brings 7 to the economy. This push for the data center to obfuscate the will of the people for data centers is driven by revenue, needs for revenue. I would suggest that, we use what we have. We have over 460 historic sites. We're standing on the money. Visitors bring over $860 million to Prince George's County per year. Accounts for about 10% of all jobs. We can easily double that by doing what your mission is to preserve historic sites and promote those historic sites. If we just advertise Prince George's County, we can solve this revenue problem. We have it here. I'm disappointed in the commissioner, who's the other county council member who proposed this legislation, who's a lame duck, not even in that person's district to do this. We need to stay on track, and we need to take advantage and preserve what we have throughout Prince George's. Thank you.
We have Scott Smith. Scott Smith. Scott Smith 1. Scott 2. Ma'am, are you Scott? No. All right, Scott gone. Stacy Hawkins. Stacy Hawkins. Stacy 1. Stacy 2. And Stacy gone. Stephanie Powell. Stacy Powell. Stephanie Powell.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Stacy Hawkins. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Stacy Hawkins.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate it. And I would like to go on record that I am opposing LDR 155-2026. I'm a lifelong resident of Prince George's County, our beautiful county here, and we talk a lot about the quality of life here in Prince George's County, and yet there's so many things that seem to go against trying to preserve the quality of life here in Prince George's County, and these data centers are one of them. I agree with all of the things that the people before me have said, and would just like to reiterate again that because of all of the resources involved with the water, electricity, and our environmental state as well, that a stronger study needs to take place for what these actual impacts of the data centers are. We have heard from other areas with data centers that the noise pollution and the environmental impact, as well as the financial resources on the surrounding communities, are quite an impact. And so I would again like to urge you all to oppose LDR 155-2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Do we have Stephanie Powell? Stephanie Powell. 1, 2, and 3. Tracy Duval.
Good afternoon, Planning Board members. My name is Tracy Duval. I'm a resident of Prince George's County. I'm a local urban farmer, beekeeper, a member of the Agricultural Resources Advisory Committee, and the Prince George's Source Conservation District Board. I'm here today to speak in opposition to the expansion of data centers on agricultural land, specifically regarding LDR 155-2026. I fully endorse the position submitted by the members of the Agricultural Resources Advisory Committee. Preserving our agricultural land is not simply about maintaining open space. It is about safeguarding our food security, our economic resilience, and our community health. As an urban farmer, I see land as a finite and irreplaceable resource. Once we convert viable farmland to data center infrastructure, it is effectively removed from the production forever. I urge you to consider the direct threats these facilities pose to water security. Data centers require immense volumes of water for cooling. This strains the local water resources that our farms depend on for irrigation and creates concerns regarding aquifer health and potential contamination. I urge you to reject the encroachment allowed by this LDR and prioritize policies that protect the long-term viability of our agricultural soil and water. To land viability, high-value industrial use drives up land costs, creating barriers that make it increasingly difficult, if not impossible, for new beginning farmers to access the land they need to get started. To economic trade-offs, when we look at the industrial impact, we look at the trade-offs. We are trading long-term food security for local supply chain resilience, for industrial facilities that consume vast energy and offer relatively few permanent jobs per acre. The decisions made today will shape the future of our county for generations to come. I respectfully urge the council to protect our agricultural zoning, reject industrial encroachment on farmland, and prioritize policies that invest in our local food systems and soil stewardship. Preserving agricultural land is not a limitation, it's a strategic choice that ensures a healthier, more secure, and sustainable future for Prince Georgians. In closing, thank you for your time and for your service.
Thank you. Your friend, Juan?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, my name is. Okay. My name is Ifan Huang. Okay. My name is Ifan Huang. I'm speaking in opposition to this bill. I want to talk about, if we go back and remember October 25th of last year, that was the last community meeting related to the Qualified Data Center Task Force. 450 people came out, and they were overwhelmingly in favor of no data centers at all. They were not saying put them, in the southern part of the county or in rural areas. They were saying no data centers at all. This was in the appendix of the task force report. There are dozens of pages of commentary saying no data centers, yet the task force report does not provide a ban as an option. I believe that the only bill that should be passed is a ban on hyperscale data centers in our county. I also want to talk about in Loudoun County, and I know that some of the planning, PG Planning went to Loudoun County to do a little investigation. There was a data center this past weekend that spewed diesel for 24 hours because the grid went down. It's the Vantage data center. You can look it up, and there's a study out there that says this one data center costs $50 to $90 million in healthcare costs per year, and 3 to 6 extra unnecessary deaths. And that's just one data center in Loudoun County. So we cannot use Loudoun County as an example of a good example of data centers. And lastly, I want to say there's a lot of talks about revenue, but last I looked, we are providing the Sphere $200 million in tax breaks and financing from the county for alleged future revenues. And so if we can give $200 million to the Sphere, I think that we can go without data centers and their alleged revenues. So thank you, and please say no.
Thank you. Do we have Yonette Thomas? Yonette Thomas? Is Yonette Thomas online? I see that. We have Ralph Nix.
Thank you to the commissioners for having this hearing. My name is Ralph Nix. I've been a resident of PG County for over 15 years. And I've spent a lot of time researching data centers across our nation. And I heard somebody speak of a dairy farm earlier. There's a cattle farmer out in the West who's having stillbirths. It has not had anything but stillbirths since a data center went operational. The noise that's put out, the water pollution, the environmental pollution, is something that we all need to take in consideration. And in addition to that, there's some communities, unfortunately, in our nation, unlike this committee, that's been doing things in back rooms and hurting their constituents, and are suffering a great deal of pain. And I'm glad that this committee is here for us to oppose LDR 155. And we need to continue to oppose LDR 155 because us as a community needs to take care of one another. And the young lady that made the opening statements, I thank her. And I thank the board, and this needs to be in our past and not in our future. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you, Ralph. So due to the nature of this item, planning board is going to try to make sure that we give everybody equal share. So we're going to go back to Herbert Jones. We understand Herbert Jones is back online.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, I apologize for my talking. I was in another meeting, so my apologies to the planning board. My name is Herbert Jones. I'm representing the South County Environmental Justice Coalition. We represent over 2,000 residential homeowners in South County. We are adamantly opposed to LDR 155-2026 for the following reasons and have outlined these concerns. Those concerns are data centers will be placed in residential neighborhoods without special exception review. We're concerned about the oversight of the project, larger than 200 acres, since they would be exempt from detailed site plans. The South County Environmental Justice Coalition is concerned that regional parks are more protected than homes with residential setbacks being only 500 feet from data centers and the setback for regional parks being 4,000 feet. Current research shows that data center setback, at least in our opinion, South County Environmental Justice Coalition, needs to be at least 1.5 to 2 miles. Clarification is needed on the county's definition of brownfields, which could identify what properties could qualify. Also trying to look at what would be the standard participation with respect to the community benefits agreement, if any. We think there needs to be a combined look at medical innovative districts along with what former mayor talked about, heritage trails as a way to generate revenue. We concur with the planning department's staff's finding, and our last recommendation would be there needs to be considered an omnibus bill. Right now, the city council is having different bills out there. There needs to be one bill that incorporates all the concerns, especially the impact to ratepayers. I think as technology goes forward, we may be able to look at a smaller scale, smaller footprint. Again, the South County Environmental Justice Coalition does not support in opposition of LD 155-2026, and that is my testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Again, due to the nature of this item, in the spirit of fairness, we'll make sure that we've given the public enough time and opportunity to add their views on this item. Is there anybody in the audience who, for whatever reason, wasn't able to sign up? But yes, please. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Tom Clark. I'm representing the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 26. Our headquarters is right here in the county. I am in support of LDR 155. We do not want, we don't want to be like Northern Virginia. What I'm asking for is limited responsible growth for data centers in the county. Back in the early 1800s, officials like you and great activists like the people behind me were having the same argument about the railroad. In the late 50s, 1960s, we had the same argument about the American highway system. The infrastructure of the 20th and 21st century. You can see a result here with the metro being built. Data centers and these phones are the infrastructure of the 21st century. So I'm not speaking for the billionaires. I'm speaking for the middle class workers of the county, and we would like reasonable growth for this. So I'd ask you to think about responsible limited growth, support responsible limited growth, support the working men and women of Prince George's County, and support LDR 155. Thank you.
Sir, can I have you please return to the mic so you can give us your credentials? And
it's Tom Clark, C-L-A-R-K. And I'm with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 26, located in Lanham, Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to approach?
Thanks. That's better. Hi. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Robin Lewis. I am a 30-year resident of Prince George's County, and I work for Interfaith Power and Light, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia. We work with over 800 congregations in the area, and as some of you may have heard, there has been anonymous texts sent out comparing us, Prince George's County, to Loudoun County. I was blessed to be featured in a religious news services article in which I talked about the fact that the faith community, which I work with every day, is concerned, and most of them are residents in the area, and they feel the same way as the residents before that have spoken before. We focus on climate change, on environmental justice, and on other issues, including climate equity, green jobs, and other things like that. So we are supportive of the community. We believe that the community's voices need to be heard and listened to. We are very concerned about the environment. We know of all of the things that have been brought up. I'm not going to go over the environmental impacts, which you've all heard, but Prince George's County, as compared, and I do a lot of environmental justice studies, and I also work with a lot of people on this issue, Prince George's County is one of the areas that has what we call sacrifice zones, areas in which there's a lot of pollutants put in our communities, and a lot of it has been overlooked and has not been cleaned up. So we do not need another hyperscale data center or any consideration of a hyperscale data center in our community. And as someone mentioned, a comprehensive look, and this is not a comprehensive look, so I oppose LDR 155. I'm just like the planning committee and others have brought forth to you that evidence. I don't want to go into it, but thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your address, can you please return this?
Robin Lewis. I live in Bowie, Maryland. Interfaith Power and Light. I work for.
And just to clarify, you were speaking we. Are you speaking for yourself, or are you speaking authorized for some organization?
I am speaking for myself and for the authorization, because I am the Director of Climate Equity at Interfaith Power and Light.
Thank you.
All right. Sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Charles Porter. Live in Prince George's County for the last 15 years on Maywood Lane. Speaking in reference to the construction, I think it was Article 151 or something like that, 4300 block of Sylvia Road. Okay, it's a project to be built there.
So that's a different item. We are on on the data center item. You want to?
So right now?
We are not on that item right now. We're on another item.
I believe that's Metro Grove.
ADR 155-2026. That's what we're discussing now.
Okay, what the residents of Maywood Lane?
Yeah, we'll come to that item.
Okay, we oppose that. What do you say?
We're not on that item yet. We'll get to that, and then we can come up.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for giving me the chance to speak. My name is Janet Gingold. I'm a resident of Prince George's County since 1980, and I live in Upper Marlboro. I want to just register my own opposition to LD 155-2026 on the basis that we really need to not build more things that use more energy and make more greenhouse gas emissions. This is a moral issue that requires long-term planning by the planning board and lots of very smart people to figure out how best to have economic growth without poisoning our planet. It's a big job, and I'm counting on you guys. Thank you. Oppose it.
Thank you. Any other person from the public? This will be anybody online?
Vice Chair, there is a person online that has their hand up. Tony, just says Tony D. If you can have individuals give their full name and their full address, it just keeps the record safe.
Okay, ma'am, full name and full address, please.
Hello, my name is Michelle Washington. I live in Landover, Maryland. And I would like to say I oppose 355 Hillside Terrace, Huntsville, 275. I am in opposition of all data centers, and I am extremely concerned about the health risks that data centers will bring to Prince George's County, in particular in Landover. I have already endured the metro being built, which drove out the rabbits. And then I was also assaulted with the FedEx Field Stadium being built right in my backyard. Now they are proposing the data centers. I am in opposition of 155-2026 for the purposes of environmental assault on Prince George's County residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony, online.
Hello, my name is Tony Diallo. I'm a resident of Suitland, Maryland in PG County. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I also want to... Hello?
Can you give us your full address, please?
Yes, sir. It is 2223 Gaylord Drive, Suitland, Maryland.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And yes, and okay. So I'm speaking on behalf of myself as a resident, but more importantly, I feel like as a youth resident, I think it is very important that we're sending the right message to the youth, and having this data center is further aligning with the fact that we need to connect less with nature, and I don't think that's the case. We need to further push that for the youth and show them the right way. More importantly, I want to emphasize the words and research from Tracy Duvall. She emphasized it greatly about the importance of preservation and pushing for the importance and awareness of farmers and the work that they do, and furthering that education. Right now, where youth is touching less grass, touching less soil. And it speaks volumes to the amount of people who are here today speaking passionately about opposing this action. So I'm just coming on as someone of the youth who finds it important for the preservation, but more importantly, the education and the future. and just want to highly suggest opposing this bill, this legislation. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tony. Are you going to be the last speaker of this? Say yes.
I would love to consider myself the closer, but I don't know if I can stand up to that pressure. So my name is Mark Bolden. I'm a resident at 11608 Middleham Drive up in Marlboro, Maryland. And I just want to paint a picture for you. I want you to consider last weekend.
See why you're the closer.
You see. Okay, yeah. So, depending on my time. But I want you to imagine last weekend with plus 100-degree temperatures and forward think another pandemic when we're all forced back inside. And then the pull on the grid that shuts down energy in the house so that you have no air conditioning. And you can't go outside because the air from the wildfires is choking the air. And so if we can't go outside and we can't stay inside, we are really saying that we're going to sacrifice our surroundings outside and inside for the purpose of the data centers that are going to drown out our energy grid. But I'm still going to be required to pay that bill. And so while I'm paying for a bill for energy that is not actually running through my house, and I can't go outside because the pandemic has said we're forced back indoors, that's just the summer version of it. Fast forward to winter, and imagine another snow creep in which your heat isn't working. And if you go outside, you're going to be slipping and stuck in some areas in this county that can't move. The data centers aren't going to do the physical construction of bringing the snowcrete out of the areas. And then in this last 30 seconds, I just want to point out that the folks in the union who were talking about railroads didn't say what kind of air pollution the railroads actually track around, didn't talk about the coal that then poisons the air as well. And when they talked about the highways, they didn't say where those highways are going through. Predominantly black communities, at the expense of black communities and the expense of agricultural communities, we're asking billionaires who now live in Argentina, represent for Che Guevara and not Messi, we're asking these folks to be in support of people who don't even live here. So as a resident, I oppose this bill, I support the Planning Commission, and I welcome you all to join us outside where you can breathe air for the future of our children and the future of the generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I see no other hands. I see no other person from the public. Again, the planning board just want to make sure that the public is given the opportunity to add their views on this very important item. Make sure that everybody's heard, everybody had equal time, equal opportunity. As mentioned by staff, Gomez and Awila, whatever decision is taken today is going back to the county council. Can we bring that slide back to the very first slide? I just want us to make sure that we see the timeline and the bill timing. So, do we have any questions from the planning board? All right, I see none. We're called for the. Again, I just want to mention that we've had a lot from the public, and I personally I've heard and listened to everybody, all the speakers, and the speakers that are opposing, the speakers that are for the center. I don't know that personally that I have enough information to make a decision on this, or even ask questions, guys, because of the lack of factual information. So on that, I'm going to ask, do we have any motion?
Mr. Vice Chair, you mind if we take a quick 5-minute recess to consult council?
Okay. All right, Commissioner Jenkins asked for 5 minutes break and
Second.
we're still on item number 11, LDR-155-2026. We have heard from all the speakers, and we've given time for the public to add their views, and we're looking for a motion.
After consideration and hearing the staff report and the testimony, which I very much appreciated, and really want to thank everyone for coming out today and doing so. I move that we adopt the findings of the staff, but we take no position on LDR 155-026, and then we move forward with the planning board's recommendation.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Jenkins and a second by Commissioner Matthews. I will now call the roll. Commissioner Mala?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The ayes have it. And like we mentioned earlier, this idea will now move to the county council in accordance with the program as aligned. Correct?
That's right.
All right, next item on